Right, Minister, many people have referred to the numbers of homelessness continually rising. We were at over 17,000 at this stage. So you know, over 5,000, nearly 5,500 children. And worryingly, more and more plus 65 plus in that age group as well facing homelessness. And when you think that older people have lived their lives that contribute so much to the state, and then they find themselves that they're in emergency accommodation as well, it's a terrible indictment on the state. I do want to commend Cavan County Council. They do huge work in trying to prevent people going into homelessness, and they are successful. But unfortunately, they just can't accommodate everybody, and some people have to be put in emergency accommodation. And in Cavan, we don't have a hostel. We have 2 B&Bs that we use, or that the council use, as for emergency accommodation for families. And then after that, they have to, send people over to Dundalk to the hostel there run by Simon Community, or down to a B&B in Roscommon. And people don't want to go because it's too far away and it's very hard to get there. There's not a good transport route to those places, and people want to stay in their own county. And what happens, and we see a lot of hidden homelessness. We see people, sofa surfing or staying in their parents' box room. But I see quite a number who are sleeping rough as well, or sleeping rough at times, and then maybe going on a friend's sofa at other times. And increasingly, a large number of young men. Single people tend to be on the housing waiting list the longest, but I've got a number of young men that I'm trying to help. Many of them have addiction problems. Some of them have been in and out of prison, and it's just like it's just like a chicken and egg. There's no out for them. There aren't the community-based supports, the wraparound supports, the addiction or mental health supports that they need to sustain a tenancy. And until we have that, they're going to continue to be in and out of prison and causing problems in society. Some will actually say that they sometimes end up getting sent to prison on purpose because they want somewhere warm to sleep and dry to sleep and get a few meals, and that's terrible. So I think we need to incorporate sharing the vision, the mental health strategy into our homelessness prevention framework as well, and put those wraparound supports in for people who require them, and ensure that they can enjoy a sustainable tenancy. I also have come across a number of care leavers who are not getting the required support to get them into accommodation either. And this is already in a very vulnerable group who've been in the care system, maybe been with different foster families, and now are out on their own, and they're not getting sufficient support, and some of them are ending up homeless as well and sleeping rough. Senator Higgins mentioned people in congregated settings, and I absolutely agree with her. And it also brings to mind the Before I Die campaign. And this is where there's a large number of adults in maybe their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, living with elderly parents who have intellectual disabilities or who have autism, who are on housing lists but are not being accommodated, not because the local authority isn't willing to accommodate them, because the HSE isn't willing to put in the care and support plan. So we need to see an awful lot more cooperation between local authorities and HSEs to ensure that the supports are put in for those people to live independently, because what happens is if a parent is no longer able to provide the care or passes away, then that person is vulnerable person is put into emergency accommodation or emergency residential setting, often far away from family and friends, often far away from their day service, and they're trying to cope with the grieving for a lost parent, as well as a new living arrangement, and that's very, very unfair. Also, we have many families who are above the social housing threshold, receiving eviction letters. They don't qualify for social housing or any of the other supports, but they cannot afford the enormous rents that are being asked for private rented accommodation out there, and they're left in limbo. They're not earning enough to look for a mortgage for themselves, but they're earning too much to be on the social housing list, and there's a lot of families being caught in that loophole, and we need to address that without delay. Thank you.